thank y'all for coming. And thank you to HS Martin for hosting us. And their staff are here working on their day off to give us some demos. That's awesome. And thank you also to ChemGlass, who always sponsors us for everything. IFC that you guys just got to experience, major sponsors. All these guys take really good care of us, donate tubing and expertise to us in the form of the teachers. All of your teachers come from these glass houses and then pass that information on to you guys and bring you guys up. So I really appreciate y'all for having us. We've traditionally had our spring meeting at Carlisle for like 10 years, which is awesome, and touring the shop is rad. Mary couldn't do it this year, and we were kind of worried, like, what are we going to do? And HS Martin was happy to have us. ChemGlass is going to have us next spring. For me, as like an 18-year alumni of a student and a teacher in this program, this is really cool. In all of my years, the glass houses don't open up and have meetings for us like this, and this is like, you know, when we talk at school about what you're going to experience in industry, having these meetings here, you get to see it, be it, you're here, you're looking at it, and you'll, like, as you attend these meetings, and next spring you'll get to start seeing like different shops, and different shops do stuff different ways, and have different equipment. Like certain jobs you might see here, you might not see somewhere else, vice versa. This is really wonderful, very unique opportunity that I feel like every scientific glassblower across the country that attends the national symposiums and works full time in scientific would love to be able to be here today. So I just wanted to impart on you how cool this is and awesome that we are welcome here. So thank you all. Look, Bob, are we going to chuck you up?
Don't get much meat off them though.
We're all going to still hungry, Bob.
No
As you guys can see, we got 100-liter chucked up here, and this mega lathe, HS Martin does some 100-liter flasks and some 200-liter flasks. So every neck you see on there already, that came as a blank, and Casey and the team sealed everything on there. You can see this arm that's going to be put on. We're going to see Andy Bortnick. You guys, most of you may know over there in the pink shirt. He is an alumni. When did you graduate, Andy?
2018.
Pre-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yes. The world got weird. Andy is going to be doing a jacketed Oldershaw column, which is really unique. Oldershaw columns is something not a lot of shops make, and a big product line that they make here. But still, like, you know, for any of you that don't know exactly what you're going to do after this, I highly suggest you try to spend at least a couple years sticking around and working in Vineland or Millville, any of the shops around here. This is the mecca, if you will, of scientific glassblowing in the world. There's not a higher concentration of scientific glass houses anywhere else. And to really get like that university job that we're all hoping and looking for, right? To get that job, you need to finish your degree, come here, put the time in these shops and learn how to do production. So then you can work your way up to handle something like this, a very complex one-off job. You need to have lots of years of production skill doing various apparatus to get to this. And tried and true, like our alumni are all working their way up. Andy, you know, Nolan, we're all like, you know, getting to a point where we're doing this really cool sought after work, but it comes with lots and lots of years.
Real quick too, we are probably looking to hire someone.
Oh wait, look, NDS is hiring soon. I need to take a picture of you for the Fusion Goat like panel waiting that. Okay, we'll do it later. You guys that have been in my team know, speaking of hiring, coming to these meetings showing face right now is the best way to hire, because there's lots of employers right over there. And you're showing face, looking good, being here on a Saturday, being involved. So we are gonna start rolling.
So I prepped that ahead of time. Made a really terrible little foot earlier, but we're gonna roll with it so I'm not wasting too much time. And we'll start making the rest of the section that'll be turned into that bend. So I gotta blow a little bowl, do a little bead, and then we'll start sticking this together. Just using this part as a handle.
The rollers that Nolan's working on are HP rollers. They're made in town here. They're really
Just off the
good.
boulevard.
Yep, and they have a tooling gate on them. So they're really good for tooling joints and stuff. They have a stop gate you can attach and detach. When I worked here, our machinist Bob made us a bunch of rollers just like it. So I don't actually know if that's a Bob pair or an HP pair now that I say it. They're so nice. Better than the Doug-owned Geck ones, for sure. Yep. Aluminum wasn't the truth.
I drove from Delaware to a yard sale in Vineland to buy a pair of rollers that I saw in a picture.
Yep, that's what you do.
I soaked them in vinegar, got all the rust off. They're beautiful.
This is going to get torn off anyway, so I'm not going to spend too much time. Just going to get it straight. Start blowing a ball. Do not have the real print for this, so I'm just going to try to eyeball it what I remember doing last week. I don't know the dimension exactly. I think it's like 40 millimeters wide or so, and a little bit bigger than this tubing. This is 19 mil standard wall.
Ooh, so thick.
Once again, the proper way to do this would be heat it all up at once on the lathe and do it with a mold, but keep heating up, feed in a little more tubing, keep blowing it up. Don't get it too hot or it's going to turn into mush.
Everybody watch his hands, team. Whenever you watch somebody demo, pay attention to what they're doing and saying, but watch how their hands move. You can learn a lot from that too. Pick up some tips and tricks.
Steve, who's going to do a demo later, he used to work at where I'm at now. He's one of those guys that's always worked almost entirely on the bench. Watching Steve work is something that really helped me get to the point where I can do this, I guess. Do a lot of things on the bench, not have to go up to the lathe and get fixtures and holders or whatever else, molds, burners. You can do a lot at the bench if you practice with your hands, you know? I am going to need a little holder. You know, if I can get some works here.
I have in my toolbox 2 little pair of wire holders if that's the size.
Normally I would just use a joint, like a real tiny joint with a piece of paper, or holders would work.
Okay, cool. Casey's on.
You got a piece of like a little tiny 710 joint, like something that'd fit in there.
Okay, thank you.
And a piece of ceramic paper, I guess. Like some ceramic paper just to like make a holder.
Was it 10/3 joint?
Yeah, anything that would fit in this 7 or it was 8 medium wall, right? You got me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just need a tiny joint or even like a piece of rod I can just tape. Yeah. Don't be messy. Shaky. Too much coffee. Now people are watching. That's the worst part.
Everyone is watching.
Pretend there's no one here.
Pressure is on.
To take the pressure off, I'd like to say that I'm very jealous of Nolan's new titanium glasses with purple frames where it stinks. Can't get them anymore. Super jealous.
What you're saying is you're going to make him an offer before he leaves for his glasses.
He said they're tight on his head. That means my head would probably snap him in half.
It's sloppy, but it's on there and it's great enough, right? Once again, not thinking about how this is going to move. Most of these parts will be done in an order of like 20 to 50 of them. So they'll be cool before I do the next step. I'm gonna wait for this to cool off again. Get my holding ready while I'm waiting for it. That's what I can do.
Thank you. 19 mil standard ball. Good job. Nolan just made that look easy.
This foot is something I wouldn't try to just freehand flare on the bench either. We would tool these actually. This would come from the tooling department, made up on a little piece. And
Really?
we just
How
keep
would you tool a foot? How does that work?
I've never actually seen them do it and use the tubing they seal on to, I think they blow a ball and then they have a tool and they'll just tool, you know, it'll look like this. It'll look like a foot on a wine glass. It won't be all like
it has a little bit of a bead
bell-shaped.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a tool you can buy for if you want to do production in the hot shop. And
Yeah,
it's like
I'm sure it's something like that.
Yeah, and it's
Little
like,
clamp,
or
like-
you spin it on the pipe.
And that just stays open. We'll seal it closed when it gets sealed on the bottom of the foot.
Sometimes we use a cylinder feed too, pre-made from shop.
Yep.
There, blow it off. This bend is probably going to come out terrible because, once again, 19 standard ball. I haven't done these since last week. I also haven't done any today. It's something where you do an order of 20 of them, you do them all in a row. By the time you get to the second or third one, they should come out good, and you just fix up the first one at the end or call it a loss or whatever. But it's weird working with these dark glasses too. I don't have the glasses I would use at work. These are shade 3s, I think. Very dark for working this standard ball tubing. You got one shade one?
That's right.
Or you can. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay.
Here's Katie, got her, took them off.
Oh, so jealous.
Take them out, piece away.
They're Adam's favorite color too.
Oh, much better. Much better. Alright. Wait. Forgot about another. I should have left my handle on and just dealt with it. I would normally have this on a handle because trying to bend this with just this is going to be a little tricky. And normally too, when I do bends like this, I'll have a template on a piece of cardboard or something drawn out, and I'll have a sheet of glass over the top of it so I can go from my bend it, line it up exactly. So let me draw myself up something real quick. I'm just going to give the shape I want. How would I have it? Sorry about the poor preparedness here.
They picked you to go first, that's not your fault.
I don't have a little sheet of glass with me, so I'm going to burn some paper. That's way wider than the bend is really going to be, but I'm just trying to get the angles. I don't know, I'm just finding a point of reference so I have something to work with. Alright.
1
So the other tricky part, like I was saying, this thing, when it's bent, the bend should come up to, I mean, the way I do them, the way the product I'm talking about, it's bent up to the left when I'm looking at it with the graduations pointing toward me. So like the bend will be this way. So that means while I'm watching the hot glass, I have to make sure in my other hand that my lines are lined up. I'm going to make some more marks actually. These would be etched into here and marked with red. It's easier to see. So I'm just going to give, since it's just Sharpie, I'm just going to put some big dots. I can see what I'm doing. The other tricky part is not twisting this. It's too big a twist and you'll get a nasty bend from that too. Alright.
When you say it's marked in red, does that mean they're like enameled on before you get it?
Yeah, they're etched and then they're enameled in red.
Okay.
It's a standard thing we stock a lot of. Made just as its own thing with a bead on the end of it. It's a centrifuge tube, so it's got that little taper. So when you put something in a centrifuge, all the sediment drops to the bottom. Alright, so we're getting hot. I'm going to start switching it back and forth. And you got to get more heat on the bottom side of these big bends like this, so it's not going to go well. Got my lines lined up. Ooh, yeah, that's nasty. Bent it like crazy. But it's lined up, so just clean it up a little bit so it's not so awful. Let's try and take the kinks out. You can see I twisted it too. The fold is in line with the tube, but the bend itself twisted on me. Try to heat it up and let it sink back. Get it looking as best I can without taking too much time.
You said you're doing like 50, 60s at a time.
Last order I did, I think, was like 20. No, there were 2 orders of 20, so yeah, almost 50.
You feel like you get into like a bending flow state?
Yeah, the first one is always terrible. The second one will be pretty good. The third one will be pretty good. Then the third one will be terrible, or the fourth one will be terrible, and then you get into it, and you get it going. You don't have to clean up every single one. So, angle looks as good as I can remember it. The bend looks kind of off. You can see it's like, and then comes back around. But let's finish up. I just gotta do this kind of crazy move. This is another thing that we've done on the lathe. We have a fixture that spins this like this. But you can do it on the bench if you can do it. You can do it. Everyone here can do it if you practice. And then pull my holder out when I get it stuck on. Stick it down just like you would a goblet. Straighten it out, make sure it sits up straight. The first thing to do would be just to heat this up until it closes off so we make a solid connection. This is tricky because you got a lot of heavy glass here, and that's a standard wall bend that's probably been thinned out from bending it a little bit. So you really gotta get this really hot. Just barely get this hot enough to take it. Stick it on. It'll suck in, so pull it out until it kind of comes smooth. Try to get it as straight as you can. That out. Ooh, this looks horrible. There it is.
Great. All right. Nice.
Could you remind us what this is for?
It's a fermenter tube of some kind. So this section will have little graduated lines I was saying, like 1 to 15 milliliter. They'll ferment something in here, cork it off, and then the gas will fill up this. I think they fill the whole thing with liquid, and then the gas bubbles up into here and displaces some volume of air, and you can measure how much air is displaced.
Cool.
Don't know exactly what is put in it, what they ferment, why that test does anything, but that's what it does.
Cool.
cradle burner or something to do that, or like an actual setup to, because you're gonna do like 2,000 straight seals or something. But when you're just doing one job and you don't know what the next job's gonna be, it's easier to just have your setup be like on hand torches and stuff. Just get right on it, get off, get on to the next thing. So this piece right here, we called it tubulation. It's going to be coming off once this piece gets silvered. This heavy spot right here is where I'm going to be pinching it off on the vacuum ovens back there. We've got a couple pieces that are under vacuum right now that you can see what the end of that process looks like. But for the purposes of actually making this piece, you know, it's gonna provide air to the jacket, which, you know, is convenient, makes things easy. I wasn't planning on having everybody watch this part right here, but yeah, once I warm this out a bit and then get on to the next part, you guys can watch me make the bellows and then make the jacket. Alright, so the print says that these bellows should be about 30 millimeters apart. I measured and scored lines 35 millimeters apart because I'm expecting to lose about 5 millimeters per bellow. What I'm going to do is heat up an even area around each line that I've scored, pull it out about 5 millimeters, and then use my carbon to bring it down. The goal is for the part that I thinned out and brought down with my carbon to have a wall weight of about 1 millimeter. That's going to make the glass nice and flexible to take any stress off of ring seals that are in the piece, or it's also great for you know, when you've got a piece that in the field is going to be heated and cooled to extreme temperatures at the same time. I'm talking 200 degrees Celsius with liquid nitrogen in the jacket or something. You know, it's great for that. This piece in particular is going to be put under a very hard vacuum, and these bellows are going to help the piece withstand that mechanical stress. So I'm heating up the very edge between the part that I brought down with my carbon and sucking in and pushing it to the side at the same time. Normally I like to keep my bellows evenly spaced from one another. That didn't happen this time because I'm nervous.
Does it change any of the function or whatnot if it were to be different, or
no, it's okay for there to be variation function wise. It's really just an aesthetic thing. So my rule of thumb for when I'm bringing them back towards each other, the untouched walls, I want it to be about 2 millimeters because in the making process of these can bend around and be all flexy and everything, and the reason I'm bringing it back is to protect that extremely thin spot that I've just created, so that no matter how much it bends, the rigid wall that is still medium wall will butt up against each other. I want to work these a little cool, on the cooler side, because you don't want the part that you thinned out heavying back up on you.
going in is doer seal.
I'm trying to keep the heat away from my holder. So I don't know exactly what's going on with the symposium later this year, but I think I'm going to be doing some like something with bigger side seals. I do them kind of a weird way with ribbon burner, so maybe you guys will get a chance to see that too. Not sure what's going on though.
I was talking with Casey about that. We do have the ability to do demos at Salem if you want. Just so you know, Andy B, I'd love to have you do a demo, but I think Eric wants the stuff by the beginning of May, because he's going to edit all the videos. Just so you guys know, our ASGS Symposium is going to be digital this year. We have been losing enrollment in National, which you guys are members of and have likely paid your dues for this section right at last meeting. If you guys were at the September meeting, our dues for this section are separate from the national level of ASGS. And we've been losing members rapidly, so we're in a financial crunch where we are very close to having to go bankrupt because we're not having enough attendees and people enrolled to be members for the year. And our national symposium has been a big money sink the past couple years, because when it's not highly attended, it actually costs us money. So this year, in an effort to save money and extend the longevity of our group as a whole, we are going to have a digital symposium. You guys, we need to register. Normally the symposium fee is a couple $100, even if you're a student. I think it's $100.
For students, I believe it's like 50.
For students, only 50 for.
I have it written down.
Okay. For us, it's either 100 or 120 bucks for regular members, and it's going to be really cool. We're going to have pre-filmed demos, which will be edited. So you know, if there's a mistake or something goes wrong, you miss all that. You just get the good stuff. Eric's very good at video editing. He's the editor himself. And then what's going to happen is we'll view these in like a Zoom setting together. And whoever did that demo, so Andy B, we're going to video this, we're going to send it to Eric. The day of the symposium, when your demo goes live, you'll be present while everyone watches your demo so they can ask questions as the video rolls. And then also, like a normal demo, when you're done, you're like, hey, anybody have questions? For a questionnaire. So you guys will The pre-tape thing was like, I thought that was weird at first until I realized the layout. If we're gonna have those people live in the Zoom so you can still ask questions, it's actually I think it's really smart. I think this is something, when we go back to having them in person, we should still offer a digital version. Like, I can't make it to Hawaii this year, but I'd watch it from my couch and I'll still pay you money to still be involved. So I think this is a good thing.
I think that's a great idea. I think like it's a much more practical way to share knowledge, having like this library of knowledge that you have access to.
Yeah, and then we can catalog that, like, you gotta get that stress out of there.
I usually don't put like a hot piece of glass under here. It's not great for the lathe. It like dries up the oil that's in there, but you know, anything for you guys.
Yay! Did you talk about silvering these at all I walked away when you were putting the tubulations on?
Briefly, yeah, I just told them that it was going under hard vacuum and that one of the reasons to put bellows on things is when it goes under hard vacuum, it puts a lot of mechanical stress on the seals.
So notice how Andy's tubulations are 180 degrees apart. That's set up for silvering. These columns, and a lot of apparatus is silvered, but you need a tiny viewing window to still see the chemistry, so we call it a strip silver. So they'll put this on a level surface back in the sink in the cold shop by the vacuums, and they'll fill it with the silver solution to a certain point, cure that, evacuate it, flip it, fill the other side with silver to a certain point, and your end product, when the column is standing, you'll have a vertical 5 to 7 millimeter window of not silvered jacket, just enough that you can see the chemistry going on, and everything else is silvered.
Yeah, if you guys want to see some silvered pieces, we actually have some on the drying rack back there. It's some other older shot columns I made like 2 weeks ago.
Why would you want to silver something?
If something is light sensitive, it does reflect some heat back into the piece to further, insulate it from that atmosphere that the apparatus is in. It just helps the chemistry that you're doing be more predictable and better insulated.
Yeah.
Right, Casey?
Yeah, it's mainly for thermal insulation. It's the same thing with the bellows. The bellows are there for one because it's going under hard vacuum. But at the same time, even if it was under hard vacuum, it would survive without bellows. The reason the bellows are there is because under hard vacuum and when it's being used in process, if it gets over, say, 200 degrees C, there's a very high likely chance that it will break.
Mm-hmm.
So the bellows allow some expansion and contraction of the glass when it does heat up and cool down over and over and over again. Some of our competitors will not put bellows in apparatus like this, whether it's older shot columns or regular distillation columns, and there's many cases where they have broken because there are no bellows there.
And because we do silvering and hard vacuum, we get a chance to put our hands on some of our competitors' work, and we've had to change our silvering process for things that are not made in-house actually, because some of them have a harder time holding up to the hard vacuum we put them under.
Yeah.
When we get back to Salem, ask Klaus to see. We have a box of bellows that are cut in half, and you can see examples of what a good one looks like internally and a bad one. If they're too thick, they're going to snap. If they're too thin, they're going to snap. If they're not the right shape, they're going to snap. Everything has to be just Goldilocks right.
And that's kind of the hard thing about them, is because you can't see how well, it's hard to see how well you've done a bellow until you cut it apart and it can't be in your piece anymore.
Did you do the boing test?
It had a little bit of boing, yeah.
Okay. Usually what you do when you fab them, you have to, before you round bottom the end, cut everything to length, you take the extra tube and you give it a flick, and if it springs like a spring and doesn't snap, you're in good shape. If it doesn't spring, one of them is too thick, it's too rigid, it's gonna break.
Is there any way to fix that after?
That's the thing about those is no. It's like you make them, and if they don't do the boing, they don't pass the boing test, you don't move forward with them, you refab. It just takes practice like anything. You've got to get a sense for them. Something cool that HS Martin does is any apparatus that's made with bellows, when this gets labeled to send to the customer and gets the decals fired on, I don't know if this is in-house or a private make, like let's say they're making this for chem glass, which when I worked here I did that, right? We will put the chem glass bake on label where the company label goes, but right above or right below the bellows, they keep a log, and every piece gets a serial number fired on under the bellows. So let's say even 15 years from now this piece breaks and it has something to do with the bellows, we can track who made it and when it was made, and it goes in a book. So today this piece will get labeled with number 1234 Andy B next to it as it gets shipped out.
And then
15 years later, they'll call you up to yell at you.
Yeah. In 15 years, when this breaks on somebody's bench, Casey's gonna come out of the office and spank me.
What Andrew's doing right now is he's gonna fire cut that internal piece to the proper length. That way you can make a tuber seal from the bottom of that 3942 joint. When he makes that door seal, he has to make sure that it's blown out just a little bit beyond the line of the joint. That way we can regrind that joint after the food.
Goosey on ya.
Oops. It's because I didn't bend this far enough in, so I couldn't put it as far to the bore as I normally do.